Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Sorry, I've been a little lackluster with the other videos in the past couple of days. I've just run out of time and stuff hasn't gone my way. Anyway, I just want to thank you guys for all the support. I'm hoping that maybe sometime by the end of this week, we could maybe hit 400 subscribers, which would be absolutely amazing. But I guess I'm making this for the 375 subscriber special. It is an original series that I don't know whether anyone's done before, but in this series, the main aim is to make Deku as strong as possible. Why? Because that's awesome. We want to see him OP. So, well, no, I want to make a series where he can beat everything in one hit and still have an emotional baggage, which will be very difficult, but hopefully I could find a way. So we're gonna start it off with explaining, well, what Deku is. So Deku is he's just a normal human, to be honest, and that's until he gets his quirk. So let me explain what his quirk is. So he starts off 5 years old. He's just like lolling around like a normal kid, and then he gets his quirk. So his quirk, we're gonna start first of all with the mildly good stuff. So first of all, he gets godlike strength and godlike resilience. This means you could stab him and the knife would just shatter or bend or whatever, and he could punch through, let's say, multiple walls. And well, he's just a bit like a god. You try and kill him with mortal weapons, so this will be like guns, um, guns. Yeah, let's say you tried to shoot him, it just wouldn't affect him because he can't be hurt by mortal weapons, though he can be damaged by quirks. Because let's face it, a punch from All Might does a hell of a lot more damage than a punch from a gun. So yeah. Also, I forgot to mention, one of his quirks is the ability to like control people. So um but he doesn't fully have control, and it only serves one function, and that's anybody watching this video has to like and subscribe. Yeah, that's right, you have to like and subscribe. Why? Because God Deku says so. So just like and subscribe, and you also have to comment done or God Deku made me do this. There's no way around it. You just got to. I'm sorry, guys. It's just how it works. So anyway, let's go into some other powers. First of all, um you don't know these powers. It's kind of like a good divine gift, if that makes sense. So what his quirk itself does, it's kind of like sends a message to the gods, and then they can decide whether to help him or not. But one god has to help him, so decide what god helps him. Um, so let's say it's a flame god. You may be like, well, why would they send? Let's say there's right. So there's Deku. He's dead on the ground, and he's just been hit by One for All's smash. This would completely annihilate him because he would only have his divine strength, which, to be honest, isn't that powerful, but is neither is his divine resilience. That's when the gods will realize that he needs help, and he will get called down by the gods. Um, so they choose, let's say, a flame god to send him help. This, of course, wouldn't be very good because well, flames are more of a destructive power than a constructive power, and he's basically on the verge of death due to taking a hit, like a full-on hit from One for All, like one of those ones that went through All Might's stomach. So, what Deku does, he actually uses his divine right to make blue flames, which usually in science would mean hotter flames, but in this I'm going off a bit mythological phoenix One Piece kind of view. It heals his wounds because why not? He's powerful, so why not, I ask. um so yeah, he heals his wounds. He's super powerful, so why not? Let's say he gets sent a lightning quirk. Now that doesn't have a healing ability, but what it could, he could use lightning to control his body. So all he had to do was stay awake. This, of course, isn't the best approach because his body's still taking damage. Meaning that, let's say if he went for like a full-on lightning strike, but One for All had a magical quirk out of nowhere that could absorb lightning and then hits him with another punch, that would actually be Deku dead, because it's two gut punching punches. I'm talking about One for All in his prime, or All Might in his prime as well. So just to set the little brief in there, he can be killed. He probably could get killed, but you gotta think he has divine protection. Let's say he gets blessed with Sky, like you can see in the top. Is that the top right? Sorry, I've been at school all day. My whole everything's broken. So let's say he gets blessed with Sky magic. This would of course be perfect for simulating All Might's power, because he could use his divine strength, but more like a Detroit Smash. So he could actually change the weather, but that's just because of the due to his magic. Like lightning could make it thunderstorm, but couldn't make it not thunderstorm unless he absorbed all the energy, or he could not make it like stop raining if it was only raining. If that makes sense. But so let's say he gets given Sky magic from Sky godly divine power from the goddess of wind, which is the one in the top right corner. He could simulate All Might's not strength, but because he has air that comes off when he punches. He could simulate All Might somewhat, but not a lot. Anyway, so he's 5 years old. The thing about his quirk that's kind of a trade-off is it takes a lot of concentration and energy to reach the gods, but of course he does have this like a safety when he's in danger. He can activate this like kind of safety net, which basically he gets the power of one of the gods. There is, of course, going to be an evolved version of this if he was in a really big, life-threatening thing, and not one god would do it, but we'll leave that to later on. So, basically, let's say if he was getting mugged, and then he refused to give, like, he stepped in the way of somebody getting mugged, then he was about to get stabbed, or did get stabbed, gods would automatically come down and give him powers. But let's say he was, I don't know, protecting another kid that had a weak quirk or quirkless from the people that are stronger, like Bakugo's gang. There's not much he could do against them. When it came to divine power, he would just have to use his godly increased strength, which is not as strong as you think, because it gets power, because it's more just to house the power of the gods. It's only like 1.5 times the strength of a human, which still, it could like fare against some people, but not many others. The drawback of the 1.5 strength booster, so one would be a normal person, so it's a normal person and a half stronger than it's a normal person's strength with half their strength added on. I'm trying to explain this in a way that makes sense, but if you understand, you understand. If not, I'm so sorry. I'll try and explain it better in the comments, so just shoot a comment if you're confused. I am so sorry if you are confused. So he's not that strong outright, but because he can house these divine powers no one else can, it makes him quite powerful. But as a kid, as a 5-year-old, and even as the time skip, he can't use that yet. So we're gonna get back to when he was a kid. This time, Bakugo has some respect for him. This is because they both still think he's somewhat quirkless, or they both think he is still quite a bad quirk. So Deku actually standing up to them and actually fighting back with them shows quite a lot of strength in the spirit on Deku's side, and Bakugo silently respects this, but still hating him because he's stopping him and his gangmates from bullying the other person. So the bullying is all targeted on him still. We're gonna skip to the beginning of the anime. This is where Deku is just, he's kind of sad there that like I'm quirkless, everyone else in the world has powers, and I've got basically a really bad deal here. So, um, this is when it flicks to Bakugo exploding the his info booklet, which annoys Deku, and this annoyance somewhat sends a tip to the gods, which kind of gets on the flame. The flame guy kind of doesn't want to go against Bakugo because he sees Bakugo as a good guy with him having a flamey spirit himself. But the Wind Princess is feeling. I'm gonna call her the Wind Princess a lot. I mean, Wind Goddess. I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me. But the Wind Goddess is more justice. So she would want to support. Zeus is more like he's a bit like for the girls, I guess you could say, a simp, but not a simp, if that makes sense. A bit like Mineta, and the water guy is well, he's actually he's 50-50. He barely uses his power because it's arguably the strongest out of them all. I'm not basing this off Greek mythology because A, I'll mess them up. B, I kind of want to mess around with the personalities, and to be honest, sure, I can mess with Greek mythology, but let's not get myself into trouble. So that's all the gods so far. So the wind spirit is gonna be the first one to give. She's basically wanting to help Deku, but Deku's not made a strong enough connection, so she's kind of annoyed behind a glass screen where she can't do anything. That's when Deku is told to swan dive, so he's a bit well, that was really mean of him, and still cowardly, he doesn't want to fight back. That is when he goes outside and he's like, what's gotten into Bakugo? Why is he so mean to me? What did I do to make him hate me, basically? And he's also like, well, he is my childhood friend, so I should just take it as friendly bands. Which, yeah, so he takes it as bans. Anyway, it's not really bans though, and he knows that, but he's still seeing Bakugo as a friend. So anyway, that is when he takes a shortcut home, and he's actually attacked by a slime monster, as we all know. But this time, to switch things up, we're actually gonna do the slime monster has killed somebody in front of Deku. This is enraged in, and that happened to be a lonely I want to say mother, but it was a single. Just no, never mind. Scratch it. No one got killed. But he sees this slime monster, and that's when he starts to get attacked by it. He's starting to lose breath, and that's when the first divine connection happens. This divine connection was connected from A, he was in trouble, and B, he was under attack unjustly by a villain. So the Wind Princess, wanting to help him out from earlier, actually comes down and gives him his power. That is when he's taken into a kind of wind circle, which completely obliterates the slime, so it has to start rejoining together. It's kind of like a ring, wind ring ball. It's like a snow globe, but wind. That's when the Wind Princess starts to explain what Deku's quirk actually is. So she's a bit like, oh, it's divine connection to the gods. You can use our powers. So far, you've unlocked 4 gods. I am the wind. I am the wind. With my powers, you'll be able to manipulate the wind to a certain degree. I am arguably on the same level as the flame and the lightning. As for the water one, wait, no. So she goes on about a wind. Then Deku asks, sorry, I forgot to add this. Deku asks, so what are the 3 others? And how strong are they? that's when Deku is then told by the wind goddess that there is a flame and a lightning god. Those two are on the same level as her, and there's a mysterious water god. Although we don't think you can properly use his power, though he is available to be reached. His power is unbelievably strong, and he's probably stronger than all the three of us combined at the level we're at. But you can always use us more, and the more you use us, the more you'll get used to our powers. Also, we'll always be here to mentor you, but you've got to make sure other people can't see us, as we are seen as gods and divine. So the divinely spirit within the gods contain could send a normal human crazy, but you contain some fragment of this divine spirit too, which actually makes you a demigod. But due to you being more human, we consider you just base human, and your demigods are part of our quirks. It's also seen as unnatural, but you should get more gods on your side in the future. Anyway, so I'm here to make you fight, which we better get doing since the slime monster is back up. That's when the wind cage they're in starts to disappear and kind of compress into a small ball, which then enters through Deku's mouth, and that's when he realizes he's able to manipulate the wind. So, wanting to kind of pay tribute or show himself, what's it called? Replicate his favorite hero. He first goes, "What would All Might do?" That's when he realizes, what about a Detroit Smash? So what he starts to do is punch his fist back, and that's when he starts collecting wind energy. This, of course, takes quite a while because he doesn't have fully used to his he doesn't have fully control of his quirk, and that's so after about 5 seconds, he realizes a slime monster's gonna come. So what he decides to do is run down the alleyway that no one else is going down. He continues running with his right fist completely unable to move due to the amount of wind it's carrying, and he realizes if he moves, he might lose all this wind energy. So he decides to try and keep it as still as possible. Then after he hits a corner in this empty alleyway, he hides behind the corner and actually gets into a stance, getting ready to punch. That's when the slime monster, getting quicker and quicker and quicker for a momentum, races around the corner, and Deku goes, "Detroit Smash!" And this Detroit Smash actually manages to separate the slime monster into like two, so it takes him about a minute for him to rejoin, which is enough time for then All Might to jump in. And when All Might jumps in, Deku's then safe and distracted by his godly powers. He's like, "Oh my god, that was pretty cool. I wasn't expecting that from me." And yeah, instead of chasing after All Might, he realizes that he should probably focus on his own powers rather than asking for redemption from anybody else. This causes the slime monster to not be released from its bottle, and also causes the interaction between All Might and Deku to never happen, and the interaction between the slime monster and Bakugo to never happen, which changes the series dramatically, I guess, because Deku no longer has One for All. Not that he needs it, though. So anyway, the next day, he's searching online on places where he could privately train. That's when he realizes that there's actually quite a dirty beach that nobody likes to go to. It used to be the bomb. Everybody used to go there. But then it got all dirty, and no one likes to go there. So he decides to try and train there. Realizing he'll have to get a hold of the gods, he reaches out trying to make a divine connection, and he actually is able to summon the wind spirit, the wind goddess. That's when the wind goddess is talking to him like in his head, and he asks, "Oh, why did you come down and not the rest of them?" That's when Deku is told that he can't house more than one's god's power at a time. It will rip his body to shreds. Number 2, you can't use my full power yet, so no matter using anyone else's powers. Number 3, I came down above everybody else because I feel like what you're doing is for justice against all the litterers. So cleaning up the beach is a justice and good thing to do. So I'm here to help you train and clean up the beach at the same time. So it's help one for help one. Just give me a second. I'm off to get a drink. I'll be like 5 seconds. I'm so sorry I didn't cut. If I cut now, it meant I would have to like end the video here, and that's because to process this video, it'll take way too long, rather to split into 2 parts. But since this is a 375 subscriber special, I don't want to split it into parts. I want to make it one big long juicy video for everybody to watch and enjoy. And anyway, so Deku asks, "So what are my powers when I'm using the wind goddess?" And that's when the wind goddess goes, "Well, your weakest one..." Wait. The wind goddess asks, "Sorry, I'll ask you, what order do you want to go? Do you want to go weakest to strongest, or strongest to weakest?" And that's when Deku says, "Oh, we'll start with the weakest." Well, the weakest kind of breaks the 4th wall, so it's useless in this universe, but in the universe where the people watching this story, this what if it's actually quite powerful, and what it is, it's compelling them to like and subscribe. Deku then asks, "What happens if they don't?" And then the wind goddess then says, "You don't want to know. So, for your guys' safety, I think you should like and subscribe." Just want to clarify, this is a joke. I'm just desperate. Help me hit 400. Anyway, let's get right on point. Let's get on to the point. So, goddess's actual powers from weakest to strongest. Weakest is probably weather manipulation. This is because he can't actually control any of the weather yet, so if it started raining, he wouldn't be able to do anything. It'll just be raining. If it was windy, it would actually make him somewhat weaker, because it would be harder to control the wind around him. If it wasn't winding, it would still, I guess, it would, like, the weather manipulation, I guess he could just make it sunny every day if he wanted to. Anyway, oh my god, sorry about the voice crack. Anyway, then the goddess said number 2 is actually the second strongest, and I think that is it's fly. After you have quite a strong understanding about wind magic, you can actually use it to propel yourself up into the air. So it will be used as kind of a flight if you can keep it constant. But what you can do right now is probably give yourself a boosted jump, though, due to your lack of control and lack of power behind everything, I can't see it being that strong. But one day you will be able to fly. And then Deku asks, "So what's the strongest power?" And that's when she says, "Well, I mean, wind manipulation, but this one could be the strongest and the weakest, because you could use it to, I don't know, float a piece of steak over, like you could telekinesis, or you could use it like you did smartly against the slime monster." I'm going to use you as an example, in fact. And Deku's like, "Ah, that's nice. It kind of helps me, like, memorize it." And the goddess says, "Oh, well, thank you. I'll take that as good. My teaching's good," with a smirk on her face. Anyway, that's when she then starts to explain how it could be very creative, like he did, and he could use it to simulate an attacking method or make And then Deku asks, "What other attacking methods could I use?" And then she was like, "Well, of course, you know about the punching and reinforcing your punches with wind, But what you could also do is reinforce your defenses with wind, so like make a wind shield, or you could actually sharpen the air and pierce people. If they though this isn't that powerful and it's more like being hit with heavy hail. But if someone needs to concentrate for the quirk, that would be a good way to distract him due to the mild but consistent pain. It's a bit like pie. Low but goes on forever. Anyway, enough with the math references. Let's jump right into the action. So, that is when the wind goddess actually says, so if we're going to start training, there's a certain thing we're going to have to do. And that's mild wind control as well as muscle control. You need to work on your muscles so you can house more of the godly powers, because mine is pretty not that tolling on the body, but it still takes a lot of divine connection to use all my powers. As if you're going for someone like the lightning god, he's actually depends quite a lot on muscle, and so does a flame one. But luckily, you're lucky with the wind one, which is quite weak. And then Deku asks, so is there any more powerful gods you know? And the wind goddess says, well, there's one I know about. And then he was like, oh, what's he like? And she actually kind of says it's a she. And then she said, oh, I don't know anything about her. She's kind of like in a higher class of gods. And then Deku was like, what's the class of gods? And the wind goddess looked at him puzzled, like, it's literally what it spells it out to be. It is a class of gods. We're on the lowest tier, and there's just higher tiers, but with the stronger, but we can get to higher tiers by using us more. Anyway, let's focus on the fact at hand. We have to learn to use your powers. So, what I want you to do is reinforce your movements with wind and start to move the garbage off the island and just clear up the sand. So Deku does this for the first 4 months of the 10 months training. That is then when Zeus, then when the lightning god comes down instead of the wind god. Surprised, Deku asks, why is the lightning god here? And then the lightning god responds, well, what does everyone do with power? Deku, puzzled, says, I don't know. And then that's when like that's when the lightning god goes, he gets ladies, which reminds me a lot of Mineta, but we'll go with it. Anyway, so back on Pointiendo, I am going to turn myself up real quick because I just realised this whole entire time I've had it on low, so I'm just going to get really louder all of a sudden. I hope this makes me clearer, and I'm so sorry if I was quiet for the beginning of this video. I'm trying to be more energetic. This is not good. Anyway, so the lightning god's like, well, if you're understanding the wind power, you're gonna have to get stronger with my power too. So for the next 4 months of the training, I would want you to use lightning manipulation to charge up your muscles to help you move stuff. And then Deku's like, how does this work? The Zeus god then looks him blank in the eyes and goes, I don't know, it's godly powers. No one knows how it works. Hence why it's godly powers. And then confused, Deku just listens to him and gets on with what he was told to do. So, by the end of this, there was 2 months left of each. That is when he's finally contacted by the fire god, and the fire god is basically like, well, you cleared up this damn beach. Now I want you to practice your fire moves, basically. So what I'm gonna need you to do is run as far as you can, as fast as you can, and you can use fire to boost your movements. And Deku was like, how do I do that? Well, put your hands behind your back and put as much fire energy in behind it as possible. At first, this was very little, actually being less inefficient than if he was just to use his arms normally. Then it became more efficient, making him going faster, and actually make him go really fast. And then he unlocked. Then he was able to train the fire to go like all around his body. So what he could potentially do is make flame wings, though the fire isn't dense enough. So what he does, he kind of like a bit like Ida on his legs. It's just pure flames though. He uses that to boost his running to make him dead fast. So anyway, just to wrap things up with the training montage, how far has he got? Well, for all three of the gods, he's kind of got similar levels. This is because the wind and the lightning god were less serious with the training, not wanting to burn him out. So, what Deku can do is he can jump high and land well. By high, I mean about 1 or 2 stories. We'll go 2 stories. So, let's say there's a double house, he will be able to jump on the ceiling of that. This is without making a loud thud, because he also uses wind magic to slow him down. As for the Detroit Smash with the reinforced wind, this would it would keep the slime monster apart for about 3 minutes rather than 1, and that would be with constant wind pressure, and then he'll be tired by the end of it, because the more split up the slime monster is, the longer it takes it to fuse back together. So that'll be using all his wind power, and he'll be really worn out afterwards. So, this then leads us on to the thunder and fire god, and I'm actually going to leave these two because I want to reveal them whilst in battle. This is because Deku's not actually fully used their power. Neither has well, Deku's not fully seen his power, so you guys don't get to yet. Don't worry, it should be in the future, hopefully. No, I'm up to the ending bit almost. I just have the entrance exam, and then we're gonna end it there because that'll be like half an hour, which is quite long for a video. Anyway, so he's running and he's just going as fast as possible. Wait, no. He's done all that, he's gone as far as possible with all the powers. So he's ready for the entrance exam. Whilst walking into the entrance exam, he's all quite nervous, and that's when Zeus takes the opportunity to push him over to get caught by a girl. This is because Zeus is kind of like trying to push him towards the girl. That's because of Zeus's the lightning god's nature, sorry. Aw, screw it, he could be called Zeus. So, yeah, Zeus basically pushes him over and kind of chuckles to himself. Uraka saves him, and that's when Deku nervously, knowing what's going on, he nervously kind of walks away, stumbling. Kind of mad, but like a friendly mad, like, oh, I can't believe you did that, Zeus. But not like a mad. So, anyway, he's walking into an entrance exam, and that's when he is basically mumbling about how he can defeat the robots, because he wants to do it in the most efficient way possible. That is when Ida has a go at him. Of course, Deku's quite civil about this, but hot-headed fire god is all reveled up by this, because he's like being taught. He's like, after he's been mentoring Deku for 2 months, he's actually got quite attached to him. Which means when Deku gets shouted at, he takes a personal offense to it. So he's gone all hot-headed and all like, "Oh, I'm gonna smash this dude," and then Deku realizing this, then goes, "Calm down, fire spirit." And when Bakugo has a go at Deku again, this just gets him all riled up. But then he decides to calm down a bit because he respects the wishes of Deku, and like calms down a bit, but he's ready to be used basically. So he's been throttled up. That is when he's in the UA exam and he realizes he's going to have to use a godly spirit to pass. So he actually chooses flame spirit, with him being riled up from earlier with Bakugo. So being all riled up, he goes in straight away using the fire to basically boost himself, and then his fist is surrounded with fire as he punches a robot. This fire then spreads, engulfing the whole robot, melting it. He realizes this is a big waste of energy, tiring him out really quick. So what he decides to do instead is limit his energy, just so it helps him, just so it weakens the metal enough for him to smash into the head of the robot where the CPU is located. He goes around doing this until he knows he's the top of the exam, because he has the godly spirit. He's the godly spirits helping him, but they don't like cheat him. He just knows he's been counting, and he's pretty sure that no one else can catch up to him. That's when he realizes Ochaku's in trouble. Realizing the feelings of Deku, all the gods want to help him out, other than the water god, who is not and refuses to speak to Deku. All the gods have now realized that Deku's feelings and how he wants to save the girl. So they've kind of like taken his heroic spirit rather than just going for justice or just going for things. So what they actually do is the wind god, without any interruption, puts in more more oxygen in the area, which makes the fire hotter, because the fire dude puts in more fuel, which makes Deku's flames go from like a red to a kind of blue due to the increased oxygen, a bit see-through, like a Bunsen burner would. So that's when he walks up to the robot, going, "Detroit, flame flash," and flames basically punch and then start melting off the robot's arm. Realizing that it might be too hot for Uraka, he starts to jump and rather than getting a boost from the flames, which could set fire to the floor or heat up Uraka too much, he decides to use the wind god to kind of push him a bit forward. So he's using wind and fire at the same time, but in separate parts of the body, which they think is quite magnificent. But they chalk it up to him being heroic, and he's gonna regret it with the strain later. So basically, what it does, he gets a boost, and then with this one punch, he burns off the arm, and then punches into the robot, burning through the robot, burning up its CPU. With the wind that was used to push him up, then with the wind god, like basically with him using two types of gods at once, he was fully out of energy. The robot luckily fell the other side as Ochaku slapped him to save him by floating him in the air, because he had not been knocked out from the amount of energy he's been outputting. This is when he will then find out his results, which we will find out next episode of, if there is an episode 2. I don't know how the reception will be to this and me not turning up my mic. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching, and remind you guys, for your own sake, make sure to like and subscribe, otherwise Deku's powers are going to come for you. Of course, I am joking. I just want to thank you guys. If you've watched like this far, you've watched like 40 minutes, which is amazing. So I just want to thank you guys, and hopefully I can hit 400 subscribers by the time, I don't know, just hope I can hit 400 subscribers. In fact, I'll check how many I'm on right now, because I am absolutely chuffed. Like, I'm on 380. That is amazing. I've grown I'm on 182. I didn't think I'd have grown 182 subscribers in the last month. You don't know how fantastic that is, and I just want to thank you guys, and you know what? You're all amazing. Have a nice afternoon, I guess, depending on when this video comes out, and goodbye. You're all amazing. Like and subscribe. You know the usual. You're not amazing. I take that back. You were all legends. You're all gods. Sorry, I made this all original. I kind of just wanted to go off my original idea than anyone else's due to not wanting to disappoint them. Uh, I hope you like this original idea, and I will be taking your guys' suggestions in the comments and actually be acting upon them as correctly as possible. I just want to thank you, everybody who's been commenting as well. You're just all amazing. Anyway, thank you so much. You're an amazing audience. Goodbye.